You are Locked On 76ers Postcast, part of Locked On Sports Philadelphia, on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Should have been, could have been a fifth consecutive win. It could have been, should have been, adding on to your season-long win streak of 4 games, make it 5 against the Sacramento Kings, who are just going through a coaching transition, and the 76ers blow it tonight. An absolute collapse, an absolute choke job. I can't believe you go the final 4 minutes and 14 seconds of the game without scoring a point, not making a field goal, not even a free throw. Sixers allow the Sacramento Kings to close out the game on a 15-0 run. That is the definition of a choke job. The craziest thing, and you can see it in our graphic there, 9 turnovers for the 76ers to close out this game. 9 turnovers in the fourth quarter, 7 made field goals. So, 9 turnovers, 7 made field goals. What are you doing? And there was a couple of points that I was just ready to bang my head against the wall. When I saw the Sixers trying to close out this game and they couldn't get anything going for themselves, I'm going to tell you the exact moment where I thought that this was just going to, the wheels were coming off. And it was about the 1 minute mark of the fourth quarter. There was a flurry of threes from the Sixers. There was a second chance opportunity to get a 3, clank. An original chance opportunity to get through, clank. And the Sixers, who I think at that point even had a 2-0 lead, if I'm not mistaken, they kept on throwing it up for whatever reason, and they couldn't connect. They were rushing shots. And then the turnovers happened even more. You had the really bad turnover at the top of the key from Tyrese Maxey when DeMar DeRozan just got his hand in there at the right time, knocked it free, went down the other end, and was able to, I think at that point it was the tie, tied at 107 on that play. And there was just nobody coming up to the top of the key to try to help Tyrese Maxey. Maxey being overly aggressive. Paul George being overly aggressive as well, getting called for his 6th foul. He's been in foul trouble for the last 3 games. And nobody was able to step up and help the Sixers squash a 15-0 run by the Sacramento Kings. And I'll get to it in 3 big things, but Nick, it wasn't just the players tonight. Nick Nurse, I don't know what he was thinking. We'll get to it throughout the show. But first, I have to tell you, this is Locked On Sports Philadelphia, Locked On 76ers Postcast. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. My name is Mark Farzetta. And also, don't forget, your favorite podcast now has a daily newsletter. That's right. Introducing Locked On 76ers Daily Newsletter. One stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com. Start your day with the all-new free Locked On 76ers newsletter. Let's get it started. 3 big things right out of the gate. First thing I saw today, and I didn't like it. Paul George on Sabonis. PG on Sabonis on the defensive end of things. Nope. It took him a halftime adjustment, but he finally figured it out. But by then, you already had 14 rebounds and 13 points by Sabonis going into halftime. Yeah, that's a pretty good start for him. That's a pretty good start for him, considering now it's 11 straight games with a double-double for him. So that's pretty damn good. He had that in the first half of tonight's game because Nick Nurse made a horrible decision to put PG on Sabonis. I thought it was obvious. If you're not going to have Joel Embiid, and I know some of you, first off, on this note for Nick Nurse, I know some of you have been waiting for me to rip Nick Nurse. There's never been a more obvious point in the season to rip Nick Nurse than right now. And the most obvious point you can make is, how the hell do you start PG on Sabonis? And I'm not saying Paul George is some terrible defender. That's not a good matchup. The best bet you have without Joel Embiid, and this is the second part of it, what are you going to do without Joel Embiid? He's going to get his. Yes, of course he's going to get his, but you could slow him down a little bit. And when he put in the second half Gershon Yabusele against Sabonis, that slowed him down a little bit. Did it nullify him? No, but he was not on the same pace that he was in the first half. That's for damn sure. It's an obvious thing. You're not going to win every battle. You're certainly not going to win every battle with Paul George guarding him. Your only chance to slow him down is somebody that has a little meat on the bones, someone who's got some muscle on him as well, someone who's got some power, and that is Guerschon Yabusele. That was the only option to D him up. Andre Drummond got some minutes later in the game as well. It was good to see him come back from the foot contusion, the toe contusion. But he was back in the swing of things tonight. Nice to see him out there. But Guerschon Yabusele was the guy that you knew going into tonight's game was going to be able to give you the most minutes against Sabonis, and you waited to the second half to D him up. That is coaching negligence. I don't know if it was something that Paul George said to him before the game, like, hey, you got to let me go out there. You got to let me D up Guerschon Yabusele. No. I appreciate the thought. I appreciate the desire that you want to be the guy to stop their guy, but that ain't going to happen. Guerschon Yabusele was the only person that could do that tonight with regularity, and they waited to the second half to make that adjustment. And oh my goodness gracious, what happened in the second half? Oh my God, it's crazy what happened in the second half. You know what happened in the second half? You came out in that third quarter, and you had your best quarter of the night. You actually won that third quarter, 32-23. Tyrese Maxey got some things going for you in that quarter as well. Paul George continued to get things going for you, but Maxey in particular, will get to his performance. But as much as I want to praise Tyrese Maxey, as much as I want to praise Paul George, and this is number 2. All right, so Nick Nurse, not so great tonight. Number 2, as much as I want to praise Tyrese Maxey, as much as I want to praise Paul George, even Andre Drummond and Guerschon Yabusele and Ricky Council giving you a couple of good minutes tonight, and Eric Gordon coming back from the dental procedure, oral surgery, all right? He comes back. He hits some big shots for you, second, third quarter. Great to see that from him. Oh, I want to praise some of these guys. And even if the Sixers were able to squeak out like a 1-point victory, even if they only got, let's say, 2 clutch threes in the final minute of the game to close it out and not allow the Sacramento Kings to finish on a 15-0 run, even if that was the case where they got a couple of more shots down the stretch to win it, I'd still be frustrated at the turnovers. I'd still be frustrated at the matchup. But if they were able to do that, I'd be able to focus a little bit more on the optimism surrounding Tyrese Maxey dropping 27 points, Paul George getting to 30. His average without Joel Embiid in the lineup is about 18.5, or excuse me, he jumps up to about 20, actually. It was 18.5. He got up to 30 points tonight without Joel Embiid, obviously, in the lineup, resting him, as I told you they would, before the back-to-back, the second leg of the back-to-back. That's also on national television. That's also against the Warriors. Paul George rose to the occasion for the most part tonight. Tyrese Maxey rose to the occasion for the most part tonight. Guerschon Yabusele, when they needed him, he rose to the occasion, especially on the defensive end of things. Andre Drummond, how many minutes did he get? 20 minutes from Andre Drummond tonight. 10 points, 9 rebounds. Rose to the occasion. I mentioned Eric Gordon. Great to see that. Very happy about that. But as much as I want to praise those guys, where were you in the fourth quarter? Tyrese Maxey having a turnover like that. A man's coming up to try to set a screen for him. DeMar DeRozan, veteran that he is, heads-up player that he is, collapses on Maxey, pokes the ball free, gets 2 the other way to tie things up. Paul George gets 2 quick fouls by the 4:14 mark of the fourth quarter. He picks up his 5th foul, and then bang, he's out before you know it. At that point, you were at least up 7 points, I believe, at that point in the game. Max is not able to close it out for you? Caleb Martin, where's some clutch shooting in this one? Eric Gordon getting back in the game? No? All right, didn't think so. Who's going to come up with the big play? Nobody could come up with the big play. So as great as these guys played for really 3 quarters, 3.5 really, they couldn't do anything by the 4-minute mark of the fourth quarter on. And that is embarrassing when you think about that. De'Aaron Fox throwing down shots left and right. DeMar DeRozan getting runouts. Lyles hitting threes for you. It was crazy the way the 76ers allowed the Sacramento Kings to just take this game. And I say they take the game. The Sixers did a hell of a lot of giving it away as well. And no better example. This stat is going to just I'm going to jump right to it. I've said it already, but oh my goodness. Number 3 of 3 big things. How do you have more turnovers than made field goals? How do you have more turnovers than made field goals? Tyrese Maxey makes a little bunny jumper at the 3:34 mark of the fourth quarter, makes it 107-98. All right, Sixers, 9-point lead, 3:30 left. Let's get it going. Not so fast. De'Aaron Fox goes down the other end on the next possession. He's able to get down a little floater. That makes it a 7-point game. Then the Sixers go down the other end. What happens? Paul George turns it over. By the way, after the De'Aaron Fox floater, 7-point game, Sixers call timeout. Out of the timeout, Paul George comes in, bad pass, turns it over, goes down the other end. De'Aaron Fox makes that other floater, or should be Malik Monk goes to the line after some phantom call by Gershon Yabusele. I thought the officiating tonight wasn't so great. That was the only thing I really agreed with Nick Nurse on, that the officiating wasn't so great tonight. Malik Monk goes 2 for 2 from the free throw line. Now all of a sudden it's a 5-point game. Ellis steps up. He knocks down a 3 at the 148 mark. Now it's a 2-point game. Ugh. And this is where the missed threes happen. Gershon Yabusele at the 127 mark. You're up 2. He clanks a 3. Sixers are able to get the rebound. It goes right back out to Eric Gordon. Eric Gordon, no reset with the 14-second shot clock. Nothing. Eric Gordon just lets it rip. Eric Gordon lets it rip. For as great as he was tonight, shooting from the outside, especially in the first half. I think it was 3 for 5 in the first half tonight. He had 8 points in 6 minutes off the bench for the Sixers in the first half. Comes out in the fourth quarter there, clanks it off the front of the rim, 107-105 still. That was the second missed three-point attempt. Caleb Martin got the offensive rebound, didn't go right back up. He kicked it out, and Eric Gordon, with about 11 seconds on the shot clock, so only 3 seconds ticked off, still 107-105. Then DeMar DeRozan gets the steal, ties it at 107. Malik Monk gets the driving layup with 33 seconds left. That's the one that they tried to challenge, and they lost that one. Thought that was obvious. And then, again, the Sixers just couldn't do anything. A bucket with 3:34 left in the game from Tyrese Maxey, and that was the last points the Sixers scored. Not even combing through, do you see? Free throws or anything. Just terrible. 4 turnovers, by the way. From the time you had that made layup by Tyrese Maxey, 3:34, to the close of the game, 4 turnovers. 4 of the 9 turnovers. You can't be given extra possessions like that. And the last play of the game, we'll break down the last play of the game coming up in a second. All right, but when we come back, the play that Nick Nurse designed was very similar to something that we saw last year. I'll talk about that when we return. But this is Locked On Sports Philadelphia, Locked On 76ers Postcast. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on Locked On 76ers Postcast and Locked On Sports Philadelphia. Make sure you like and subscribe to all that. Be back in a second. Locked On Sports Philadelphia, Locked On 76ers Postcast. Oh, it's that time to talk about your favorite ad, ladies and gentlemen. Today's episode is brought to you by Rocket RX. If you're ready to boost your confidence and take control in the bedroom, Rocket RX has the solution. Imagine feeling more prepared and performing at your best. Rocket RX makes it simple and stress-free. That's Rocket RX. Rocket RX offers FDA-approved treatments for erectile dysfunction at a lower cost than branded alternatives. No more uncomfortable doctor visits or pharmacy tips. Everything is delivered straight to your door in discreet, plain packaging. With Rocket RX, you'll get trusted care from a real U.S. clinical team, complete a quick, but not too quick, 100% online consultation, and you can get your free prescription today. Visit rocketrx.com to get started now. It only takes 2 minutes. Right now, our listeners and viewers can get 40% off your first order when you use code LOCKEDONNBA. That's LOCKEDONNBA when you visit rocketrx.com. Use promo code LOCKEDONNBA for 40% off your first order. Terms apply and conditions apply as well. Rocket RX, better sex made simple. So here's the play. They call the timeout, the 76ers. And out of the timeout with 33 seconds left in the game, they inbound the ball. It goes, I believe it was Paul George inbounds to Caleb Martin at the top of the key. Caleb Martin tries to get the ball to Tyrese Maxey, but Tyrese Maxey's blanketed. Now, Maxey starts off when the ball's still out of bounds in the backcourt. He gets the full head of steam. This is the same play that we saw Nick Nurse draw up for the Sixers against the Spurs last year in that game that went to overtime. And Maxey, faster than anybody, is unable to beat the man to the spot to get the inbounds pass and ends up going back in the hands of Paul George, who drives the lane looking for the foul. And again, at this point in the game, the Sixers are down 2. They need something to happen here. They put the ball in the hands of Paul. They couldn't get the ball in the hands of their all-star Tyrese Maxey. They tried getting the hands into another all-star in Paul George, who had been having a great game. He drives the lane. 3 players collapse on him. No fouls called. I didn't see a replay that showed he got fouled. By the naked eye, it didn't look like he got fouled. It looked like he lost the ball, and it looks like he turned it over. Then they go down the other end. The Sixers don't foul because there's still about 26 seconds left on the clock by the time the Sacramento Kings got the ball back off the Paul George turnover. They go down the other end. They don't foul until 7 seconds remaining in the game, and they foul Malik Monk, and it's a shooting foul of all things, and he goes to the line to make them both, and that was the 6th and final foul of Paul George in the game. So Malik Monk goes out there, and he makes the free throws. He makes it a 111-107 game, and it was just the same old for the way that fourth quarter was ending. And the thing that really bothers me is throughout the game, the Sacramento Kings had these runs, and the Sixers did a great job earlier in the basketball game of squashing those runs. They were able to respond to an 8-0 run, I think it was in the third quarter, with a 10-1 Sixers run. There was a 20-6 run at the end of the first half in this game that the Sixers were able to squash in that third quarter by taking control in that quarter, only to lose it at the end of the second half. So when you look back at this game, what was Nick Nurse doing? He made one adjustment. I give him credit for one adjustment, and that was putting Gershon Yabusele on Sabonis at the end of the game. I can never say his first name right, so I'm sorry. It's Sabonis. But they put him on the second half. There's a good adjustment, great adjustment there. But other than that, you can't have your top dogs in the final 4 minutes of each quarter disappearing. Tyrese Maxey at the end of the second quarter, the end of the first half, he just had 6 points. He finished with 27. So he came alive in the second half. But in the time they needed him to step up the most, they didn't have him. In fact, he hurt more than anything. Driving the lane, trying to get fouled, and I appreciate him for that, but the turnover at the top of the key can't happen. A good veteran player made it happen, but he can't let it happen. And also, guys got to talk to one another. One of the things I consistently see from the Sixers is there does not seem to be a lot of communication. And that's got to be drilled into their head. Now, look, should Joel Embiid or Paul George or even at this point Tyrese Maxey, should they have to be told often, hey, you guys got to communicate. Don't forget to communicate. Man on. Watch behind. Switch. Like all that type of communication. Should these guys have to be told that? No, obviously not. But when it's 3 guys, and tonight Joel Embiid didn't even play, or it's Gershon Yabusele, or it's Andre Drummond, and these guys aren't all that familiar with playing with one another, especially with Paul George being out there on the floor, then you got to talk. And Tyrese Maxey's got to know that screen's going to come up for you. Guess who that's going to bring? That's going to bring DeMar DeRozan. So if you're not going to do the old basketball camp brush elbows with the man trying to screen for you so you know you get open, then you got to dribble away from it. And it was too little too late for Tyrese Maxey, who overall played a great game. But in the clutch moment where everyone's going to remember what happened, he came up small. Look, I understand that you can normally look at this and say, without Joel Embiid, what chance do you have of winning anyway? Well, against the Sacramento Kings, it's still a pretty damn good chance, and you should have won. You can make the argument, the Kings are playing inspired because their head coach just got fired and Christie's taken over for him and all that stuff. Okay, great. They're still the same players. I know they got a different motivator now. I know some people are pissed off about Mike Brown being let go and all that stuff, but dude, you have an opportunity here, if you're the Sixers, to go out there and beat a team that is a sub 500 team just like you are. Go out there and beat them. And they had the opportunity to squash them like a bug in the fourth quarter. And they played scared. They played timid. And worst of all, they played stupid. Just stupid basketball. And I don't know what Nick Nurse was going to do. The play he drew up, I think, if I know the play, if I see Tyrese Maxey in the backcourt and I see an inbounds play, that if I know what's happening, you don't think the Kings know it? You don't think the rest of the NBA knows that? You probably knew what was happening as well. If you know that play's happening, then you're going to beat Tyrese Maxey to the spot. And that's exactly what they did. I do tip my cap to the Sacramento Kings, who did step up. And look, they took advantage of every opportunity the Sixers gave them, and the Sixers gave them a hell of a lot of opportunities. De'Aaron Fox ended up finishing with a game-high 35 points. The thing that really drives me crazy, though, especially with the turnovers, is that the Sixers in the first half, the turnover battle was pretty even. I think it was like 9-8, 9 turnovers by the Kings, 8 turnovers by the Sixers. But the Sixers had scored 17 points off the turnovers from the Kings, so they were cashing in. They finished with 25. So in the first half, 17, and then they finished with just 25. Meanwhile, the Kings double their order when it came to scoring off turnovers, and bottom line was that mostly came in the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. So I'll chalk this loss up as one that is extremely frustrating. Probably their worst loss of the year, especially when you consider how it just fell apart in the fourth quarter. And I don't know if it was a lack of focus. I'm perusing social media to see if anything was said by any of the players after the game as to what happened and why it happened. But, man, I'm just looking at this Sixers team with great disappointment. When you had Paul George in this game till the final seconds, and he was shooting the ball for the most part well throughout the night, 4 of 7 from beyond the arc. One thing I will say about Tyrese Maxey, 3 for 10 from beyond the arc. Still got to be a little bit better than that. He did make some history for himself if you didn't see it. One little note, and this came courtesy of StatHead, I believe it was. Tyrese Maxey joined Anthony Edwards for 11 games as the only 2 players in the NBA this season to score at least 20 points and make at least 3 3-pointers in 10 or more consecutive games. So that's a nice little feather in the cap of Tyrese Maxey, but you could throw that out the window when you say, or when you look at the fact that nobody stepped up and played in that fourth quarter. Not one clutch 3 from Eric Gordon, not one clutch 3 from Gershon Yabusele, not one clutch 3 from Caleb Martin, not one big putback dunk from Caleb Martin, not one Paul George 3, not one Tyrese Maxey step back, not one player. Usually games like this, I'll say, like, what do you mean, be mad at the coach? No way. Well, when you look at one huge aspect of the game as to why you should be pissed off at the coach, it's a defensive mismatch that he set up. And that made 0 sense to me. In total, what did he finish with? Domantas Sabonis, 17 points, 21 rebounds, 9 on the offensive glass. Trey Lyles, 4 for 8 from beyond the arc, coming off the bench, 12 points. That's where he got all his points, obviously. Malik Monk finished with 20. De'Aaron Fox, 35. Like I mentioned, DeMar DeRozan, 18 points on 7 of 14 shooting. Domantas Sabonis, 17 points, 21 rebounds overall, 9 on the offensive glass, 7 assists. That matches Tyrese Maxey with the game high 7 assists. So yeah, he was doing it all, to say the least. When we come back, we'll take your comments, and we will talk about one particular player that it was good to see him get out there tonight and at least try to help the 76ers get something going for themselves, especially in that third quarter. That's when we return. This is Locked On 76ers Postcast and the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. Back after this. Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That definitely happened to me, but thanks to Rocket Money, I've saved myself some cash. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so much easier to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. We all have so many apps, we have so many services on our phones, and we just forget what does what from time to time. Well, when that happens, sometimes you end up paying twice for the same thing. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. I got young kids, man. I got to save for college, right? It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit for this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when you're using all the app's premium features. So take advantage of all Rocket Money has to offer. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Visit today. All right. Without Joel Embiid, obviously you need other guys to step up. And one of the guys that I was really looking forward to seeing coming back from his injury or from his oral surgery was Eric Gordon. Right before Eric Gordon left for a couple games, 4 actually, he started his outside shot. For the first time really all year, you felt like, okay, maybe he's got something going for himself. And without Joel Embiid, you need everybody else to step up, especially the role players. I think you're going to get your 27 or 30 from Maxey. You're going to get your 20 to 30 from Paul George. You're going to get a couple of clutch threes. Unfortunately, it wasn't for tonight for Guerschon Yabusele. Caleb Martin's going to get his, whatever. But you need the role players to step up in general. And seeing Eric Gordon come off the bench tonight for the Sixers and really rip into it. 8 points in 6 minutes, helped the Sixers build a 9-point lead in the second quarter after struggling there in the first. I thought that was fantastic. And seeing him come out there in the third quarter as well, trying to establish the Sixers, getting them a lead again, helping them build as much as I think it was a 14-point lead in that third quarter. This is a guy that you need to be able to rely on. He was struggling right before he went and missed a couple of games. He started to get his swagger back a little bit, missed a couple games, came back, and has not missed a beat. I know there was an opportunity there in the fourth quarter for him to knock down a 3, which would have been a bit of a momentum swing, I think, for the Sixers, but it just wasn't meant to be. But overall, it was great to see him come out there and do his thing. As far as Guerschon Yabusele, looking at tonight, unfortunately, this one puts a hitch in his giddy-up. Coming into tonight, you're talking about the last 4 games. He had 14 points per game. He was shooting over 60% from the floor. He was shooting over 52% from 3, 5 rebounds, and a steal and a half per game. Unfortunately, tonight's game was not on point with what we have seen. Instead of 14 points per night, just 8 points tonight for the Sixers. And instead of at least 5 rebounds, he got 1. Didn't have a turnover there. Turnover, though, so that's good. By the way, Paul George had 5. All right, let's get to your thoughts on this game, everyone. Let's see what you guys have to say. What the hell? Morgan Lady. Morgan, what's going on? 15-0 run when you're up 9 is unacceptable basketball no matter who they play. Happy New Year's from the Sixers, I guess. Happy New Year. Hope you like crap. Farzy can't bet's a bar. What's going on? Farzy counted the days until the Phillies report to spring training. Now, I love hoops, man. I grew up mostly in a baseball and basketball household. We weren't suiting up and playing hockey, that's for sure. My dad's a big football guy, but for me, like my brother was baseball and basketball. But yeah, it's been better. Crazy. Paul George needs to go. I saw this rumor that was out there, and I thought it was great. Paul George for Jimmy Butler. And I was like, in a New York minute, but apparently Jimmy doesn't want to come here. The thing that's alluring, though, about Paul George being here is he's the perfect position. You're not doubling up on your guards like you would with Jimmy Butler and Tyrese Maxey. Jimmy Butler wouldn't have to run point here. That's for sure. The only thing that's really alluring is that Paul George, position-wise, just fits so well. I was a little scared, though, when he went down pretty damn hard, though, in that second quarter of the game. And then he got the heat pack. Now, I don't know if he's going to go tomorrow night. You might get Joel Embiid back. We'll see how Paul George responds. I haven't seen anything on social media from Nick Nurse about whether or not he said anything, but I'll cross my fingers. He'll still be able to go tomorrow. Farzi, you may chat check, but I will chin check. What, do I got a little double chin going on? I've been eating a lot during the holidays. Yeah, just during the holidays. Thanks, everyone in the chat. You guys are great, as per usual. As I've mentioned before, your 10-9-8 76ers take on the Golden State Warriors tomorrow night, 10 o'clock, the last of the 10 o'clock start times for quite some time, hopefully the rest of this season. Okay. The Golden State Warriors are 16-16 on the season. The Philadelphia 76ers 13-18 now. They're coming off a loss. The Warriors are a 113-95 loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers. But hey, who hasn't lost to the Cleveland Cavaliers? Right? Right. Steph Curry only 11 points in that game in 29 minutes, 3 for 11 from beyond the arc. I will be with you guys tomorrow night following the Sixers and Golden State Warriors squaring off. Hopefully the Sixers' big three is playing in that game. All three of them. Paul George with his heating pad, Tyrese Maxey, and Joel Embiid. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you hit like and subscribe on the Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. That's Locked On Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel. My name is Mark Farzad. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow night on the second leg of this back-to-back out west. See you guys then. Bye.